Good evening. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Cunningham Town Board. We actually have three meetings tonight: the Cunningham Town Board meeting, followed by a public hearing, and then the regular meeting of the Urbana City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Brown. Here. Hersey.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Miller. Roberts. Wu.
Here.
Chair Marlin.
Here. We have minutes from several meetings: February 3rd, 2020, February 10th, February 10th joint meeting, and February 17th special meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move approval. A second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Sharice. There is one correction for February 10th under elected officials present. It should be Cunningham Township Assessor Wayne Williams.
Oops.
Are there any other corrections? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. I've had a request to change the order in the agenda to accommodate a personal issue. Could we move reports of officers up to come next on the agenda? Is there a motion to that effect?
I move that we move our reports of officers to the next position on the agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Eric, seconded by Sharice. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Great. Wayne.
Thank you all for accommodating my request. As I said before, our website is up, www.cto.us, where residents, taxpayers, and other users have 24/7 access to our residential property record cards. While overhauling our assessment practices, we noticed a lack of data for apartment buildings within Cunningham Township. To correct this deficiency, the assessor's office sent surveys out to apartment owners, and we asked that the surveys be completed so we can make sure that apartment buildings are assessed fairly and accurately. After speaking with several township other assessors at professional conferences throughout the state, throughout the country, we were informed that other assessment offices have tried this method of sending surveys out. The typical response has been between 5 and 12%. 12% was the highest that we got. 5% was probably the most common number we received. This includes Normal Township, which is a very similar township to us in terms of number of parcels, type of parcel mix. That said, we sent out 171 surveys. We got 115 back so far by our March 1st deadline, so that's 67%. This shows that the apartment community and the assessor's office working diligently to fix the inequities and commercial property assessments within Cunningham Township. I also have been doing things like attending Central Illinois rental property professional meetings, Champaign County Association of Realtor meetings, and I'll plan to continue to do so. Our goal is to give every taxpayer the ability to access our township website that will provide assessment data, permit history, sales history, and sketch and pictures of every property that we're responsible for. Transparency and access to data for taxpayers is vital to preserving comfort with assessment process, as well as allowing them to gather information whenever, wherever taxpayers choose to do so. The contract with EagleView has been signed. The hope, whether cooperating, is that the fight will take place at the end of March. So pray for dry but cloudy days. And then we'll have access to aerial imagery. I do plan on giving the town board a access as well, so you guys will be able to see what we see. Any questions? And I can also take questions for bills if you guys have them from my side.
Mary Alice.
So you said that you sent out surveys to all the apartment buildings. What was the number of units, the minimum number of units?
7.
7. Okay, so I guess that apartment owners should be aware that if you own an apartment building with 6 or fewer units, you should not have received one.
Yeah, and we have found that we had some buildings that were misclassified in our system, and where we sent, say an apartment building owner had 3 properties, 4 properties, but we only sent them 3 surveys. And so we had a couple people reach out to us about that, and it was just due to coding errors in our system. We fixed those. So everyone's been very, I'm very happy with the result so far.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Good evening.
Hello. Are we on committee to verify bills?
Yeah, we'll go back to our,
Oh, okay.
well, actually, is there any public participation? I don't have any cards.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Great, so we have the committee to verify bills. Just in terms of town fund, we had $49,749.65 in our standard expenditures. And then, as you know, out of our town fund, we did a payout to Carl on the property tax case. So the total for the town fund actually comes to $257,011.87. The general assistance fund had its standard is $47,747.85, and then we added the Carl payout to that. So the total from the general assistance fund was $216,631.48. So the combined total of payout this month was $473,643.35. And I've attached the town bills and the credit card statement, and I'm happy to answer any questions that town board members have.
Mary Alice?
So with the amount that we had to refund to Carl, does this change the amount that we had in surplus?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have an accounting of how much is left in the surplus?
So I usually prepare quarterly financial statements. So in April, I will bring not only the profit loss, but I think it would be helpful for you to see the balance sheet across all of our accounts. I was able to easily move money from our savings account to our checking account to make this disbursement. But I certainly want the town board to be aware of what our surplus looks like given that. So you will see that next month with that quarterly report.
Thank you.
Eric?
How feasible would it be on these reports to break out those components that are strictly assignable to the assessor's office from the supervisor's office? Would that be relatively easy, or would that be a pain?
You should, so if you go to the income and expenses by division, you mean line item by line item? You'd like to see what class?
For example, the salaries and et cetera. Yeah.
So you have the summary where you can see the full salaries by division, and you can actually see supervisor, independent of assessor, the town fund other. The only salary is actually our clerk's stipend, and then the general assistance is the case management staff. So when you go to the detailed bills, I have an option of including the class. If you want to know what class that bill was assigned to, it'd be very easy for me to change that report. So for example, you could see supervisor's salary, you would have the memo, and then it would say class, and it would say town fund supervisor, so that you could see what class that specific expenditure is from. Is that what you're asking for?
That would be helpful.
Sure.
And so that class could be assigned to each of the salary items, for example, and
Absolutely.
and to each of the, well, I guess some things it wouldn't be relevant for because you're shared, but whatever is broken out I think that would be helpful.
So our shared expenses fall under town fund others, so it's very easy to see. So for example, we share the clerk, so the clerk is under town fund other. We share utilities, that's under town fund other, and things like that. So you can actually, that's how we're using that, that classification. And it's quite easy for me to change the report so you can see that. I also, as you know, did a recent deep dive around salary and salary comparisons. And I looked at the assessor, the supervisor. I looked across a multi-year period so that I could see how it's changed since I became the supervisor. So if you know, we did a lot of research around that piece. So if you have specific questions, also feel free to email me, and I can bring that to
sure.
the next town board meeting.
I'll take this occasion to say that I thought that your response to the media inquiry was really profoundly good.
Thank you. It was the type of thing where I was very happy to be asked those questions because I had
Yeah.
great answers, so it was not hard. Any other?
Bill?
Just a question on the credit card statement.
Mhm.
I think the UMA was voice over IP. What's the $500 charge for Indeed?
So indeed, it is the posting of the assessor's field position that is now currently open.
Okay, so it's a
So Indeed is-
$500 charge just to post the job opening?
My understanding is that you buy a certain amount of time, and you also buy a certain amount of reach. And so, because I've used, I didn't use Indeed in this case, but I've used it in the past. It's kind of like Facebook. You get to choose how deep a reach, and you
Okay.
actually buy how many responses. So, if you purchase a certain amount, it ensures that you'll have a pool of a certain size that comes back.
Okay. And then I think somewhere I don't see it right now. I saw the charge for the aerial imagery, the down payment or whatever. Is that listed under administrative services?
That would most likely, this is a question for Wayne, but because he indicates the classification. Let me see, it should be in the memo. If you look under administrative admin services.
Yeah, there's like 3,500. I think it was like 2,500.
Yeah, so it's Pictometry International Corp. Deposit due at signing, 2348 and 2348 and some change.
Okay, I see. I just want to make sure that's what I thought it was on the summary sheet. Thanks.
Any other
Any
questions?
other questions? Is there a motion to approve the town fund and general assistance fund?
So moved.
Second.
Is that Jared?
That was me.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Hazen, or Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
and Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes. Reports of officers.
Okay, so just to underline from the town bills what some of the current statistics are. So we've had a very flat number of participants for general assistance. So we're at 96. We have probably a turnover of about 15 per month. So there's quite a bit of churn. A lot of folks getting jobs, especially this time of year. And then new folks coming on our rolls. We had 36 homeless this month, the same as last month. It's pretty much split males and females. Our average age really sticks around 47. So far, we have served 212 people this fiscal year, and 86 of them have been homeless just with our general assistance program. We continue to see a pretty low rate of rental assistance. We had 5 last month and 5 this month, so 3 eviction cases and 2 move-in assistance. And we've helped 27 households, an average of 11 per month. So that is a bit lower. It probably corresponds with folks having more opportunities for jobs in the spring months. We will have an annual town meeting on Tuesday, April 14th at 6 p.m. We will be asking for permission from our electorate to dispose of surplus property. We have a basement full of old office furniture, typewriters, and computing equipment, so we'd really like to clear that out. This leads into my next announcement that's not here, but given that I just came from the Public Health Board meeting, there are still no known or confirmed cases of coronavirus here in Champaign-Urbana or in the county. The health district is urging people to prepare and prepare now because it's most likely going to come to our community at some time. There's a great resource on the Public Health District website. It's c-uphd.org. The very first thing you'll see is a link to the coronavirus, and there's just a wealth of resources on that. You can actually see how to prepare as a business or employer, a child care facility in the schools. There's specific to-dos, and I know that Julie Pride from Public Health has been has a show on UPTV to talk a little bit about public health. I did want to point out that our participants typically do not make enough money to stockpile 2 weeks of food or supplies. They absolutely don't, actually, and so we are working on a plan to basically have boxes prepared of all the supplies for every single participant we have, and we will either do pickup or delivery of those boxes. So we're working on that piece. You will probably see some associated costs that were unexpected. I do have an emergency fund of $20,000, and so it seems appropriate to use that for this purpose. We continue to just urge folks to prepare, and especially reach out to faith-based leaders in places where people are congregating for them to help get the word out to their congregates. So just a few notes from the public health meeting that we just came from. I wanted to I gave you quite a few highlights. I just want to point out a couple that are relevant. We do have a art show that is up at the YMCA that will be up until March 20th. It's called Our Stories, Our Places, Our Resilient Selves, and it highlights the voices of Urbana residents who have been through it. That may be poverty, homelessness, domestic violence, etc. We hosted a dialogue with the Interfaith Alliance and actually are doing a number of community engagement grants with the University of Illinois. I was just invited to be the keynote speaker for the Poverty Summit at the University of Illinois School of Social Work. That will happen May 1st. And I've been presenting quite a bit on campus about poverty and really helping students engage with the kind of the local picture and figuring out how they can dovetail that with some of the research work that they're doing. We have been selected by 2 School of Social Work master degree students to serve in our office this summer, so we're very excited, and it looks like we'll have at least 1 bachelor's degree student as well. So that's 3 full-time staff who will essentially serve as interns in our office to augment our staff, and it's a great time for that because we expect the SNAP issue to come down, and we may have some issues with the coronavirus as well. We've been doing pretty intensive training, and I just wanted to point out, I highlighted this in the training of all of our staff will be on our website shortly. So we'll have profiles of all of our staff, their background and experience, and specifically all the training that they have received. A number of these trainings have actually been free, so we're very grateful to our community partners. But we have 4 people who are rape crisis trained, 40-hour rape crisis trained, 1 40-hour domestic violence trained, and then we have a 40-hour training in CU trauma and resiliency. And every one of my staff have been through trauma-informed care and also know how to disperse Narcan in case of an overdose. So, and we continue to sit at all of the tables in the Community Coalition, Crisis Intervention Task Force, Continuum of Service Providers to the Homeless, Human Services Council, and Workforce Development Roundtable at WorkNet. So we are busy, but happy to serve at Township. Happy to answer any questions. Bill.
Did they happen to say how many people had been tested locally? You said there were no cases yet.
This is a great question. One of the issues is that we have not had a lot of tests. There was, as you recall in the paper, a young person tested who came to McKinley. Well, there has been a lot of self-quarantining. The university has been a really proactive and a partner in that. And so there's been a lot of quarantining, and we do now, as of recently, have local tests to disperse. Typically what happens is that an individual and anyone who has flu-like symptoms should go straight to convenient care and be swabbed to see if they have a normal course of the flu. If they do, then there's no further issue. They just need to heal from that process. If they appear to have flu symptoms and they don't swab positive for the flu, then they, at the discretion of the medical personnel, they may be they have the coronavirus test administered. So at this point, I mean, the big issue, and you can certainly speak to your members of Congress, is that we need a lot more tests. As you may have seen, Congress did pass a bill to fund local communities, and that funding will be coming through the state. And the mayor probably has additional information.
It's because I watched part 2 of the video recorded today with Julie Pride and Elizabeth Hess. Julie said that about 10 tests have been administered locally and sent in. So results take several days to get back.
Yeah.
And I will put a plug in for UPTV Part 2. The interview on COVID-19 is going to be up and running this week, and it's a second in the ongoing series of interviews with Public Health District, and they're about 20 minutes long and extremely informative and accurate. So it's a great place to get really useful information, and this thing changes by the minute, so so it's good to have these weekly updates. Okay, any other questions? All right. I don't believe there's any unfinished business. New business is approval of the annual town meeting agenda. You should have received the corrected agenda, which is a small correction. Under item 6, it should read program updates from Cunningham Township Supervisors and Assessor's Office. That was the only change. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move approval of the agenda.
I'll second it then.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Dennis. Further discussion? Voice vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, seeing no further business before this meeting, we are adjourned.